The Switch has been a very good console for Nintendo, and Nintendo has done a lot of good things throughout the Switch's over 2-year run now. One of those things is DLC. I know we all like to shut it out of our brains, but Nintendo didn't really know what to do DLC with, or like even how to embrace DLC back when they started doing it around the beginning of the Wii U era. They had no clue. They thought it was just a fad, kind of like how they treated online on the Wii era, but arguably even worse. I mean, I think their first real foray into DLC or downloadable content was the Wii Sports Club game on the Wii U, which is just a whole irrelevant topic. Regardless, DLC has not always been great by Nintendo, but so far on the Switch, they're doing a really good job. In fact, they're doing so good with the DLC that the only problem I have with it is that I want it to come to more games. I want Nintendo to not go the full EA route where the entire game is based around DLC and they only make the game knowing that they will be able to sell a ton of DLC afterwards, but I wouldn't mind a few more DLCs here and there, or a few season passes or whatnot. I mean, obviously we got the Fighters Pass from Smash. That is probably like one of the most hyped things we as Nintendo fans have right now, and Nintendo in general has just put a lot of time and care into their DLC. However, it hasn't come to every game we want, and some of the games they have decided to support are very weird. I'm a huge Captain Toad fan, but that is such a weird game to update with DLC a year after it came out almost. So, what games do I want to see get DLC? Well, I've got a list of 5 of them that I'm going to talk about in this video, and I just want to make it clear, some of these will be ports, some of these won't be ports. All of them probably are getting sequels of some sort in the works, so it's like kind of understandable why they're not getting DLC, because the DLC would just like go to whatever the sequel is. But regardless, I would like to see more added to these games because I like them that much. So with that out of the way, let's get started with the video. Hey guys, it's Thomas on the Switch Shop, and these are the games that I want to see get DLC. Sorry if I sound really annoying. I have a really bad cold / allergies that like this time of year just always happens, but it's particularly bad this year. Yeah, I don't know. It's not good overall, but I'll quit complaining. Let's just get into it. So the first game I want to see get DLC is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. This is probably my overall favorite Switch game. It's just got everything I could possibly want. It's Mario Kart, which is probably my favorite franchise of all time, but not only that, it's got an amazing selection of 48 different courses, all with incredible soundtracks, design, gameplay mechanics, and more, plus the new designed battle mode, which I've had hours and hours of enjoyment with Renegade Roundup, Shine Thief, and all of that fun stuff. I just want more, especially if you look at the fact that Mario Kart 8's DLC was so good. We got those 2 new DLC packs that came in Mario Kart 8, because I know a lot of you guys probably didn't follow Nintendo, or at least didn't care about Mario Kart 8 back in the day, so you might not have known how they rolled out DLC for that. But there were 2 DLC packs. You could buy them each individually, or you could buy them together, which is what most people did, and there were 2 cups in each pack, so you ended up getting 4 new packs for, I think, $20, and if you look at $5 per cup, that does seem a bit steep, but every single course in these new cups were just phenomenal. They were all the best of what Mario Kart 8 had to offer, and Mario Kart 8 in general is, in my opinion, the best of what Mario Kart has to offer. So I would love to see Mario Kart 8 Deluxe get some DLC, maybe extra battle mode stuff, maybe more courses, but I would just love to see that game get new content. They flirted with the idea too, giving Link his Breath of the Wild model, and then they talked about how they wanted to add new content to that game. Then they also did the Labo thing, so who knows, maybe it's possible, maybe some crossover with Mario Kart Tour, but I wouldn't hold my breath. Next up, another Mario game. You'll see that's a common trend in this video, Super Mario Odyssey. This is probably the most obvious one that everyone talks about when discussing DLC in Nintendo Switch games, because everyone thought there would be DLC for this game. Everyone thought, okay, we got our Isle Delfino thing. I mean, it was even in that promotional art, but I'm sure you guys all know that, or at least have heard the story of Isle Delfino coming to Super Mario Odyssey enough times. I won't explain it again here, but yeah, everyone thought there would be DLC, even if it wasn't Isle Delfino or some Super Mario Sunshine based DLC, just new kingdoms in general. Instead, I mean, we got Luigi's Balloon World, which is fun. I always feel weird talking about it because it's like Luigi's Balloon World is a fun game. It's just not what anyone expected as DLC. People, even when people saw that, they were like, okay, but when is the actual DLC coming out? And then we just got a ton of content, like in the form of costumes and those hint art things, slowly rolled out until they just stopped. And well, now we're here. The game's basically dead, at least in terms of new content. Sure, it got that Labo VR thing, but besides that, I mean, I don't even personally think of that as like real content in the game. That's like a side mode that has no bearing on the main game whatsoever. Like, you can play that side mode even if you haven't unlocked those specific kingdoms, so it's really just its own thing. So, I mean, I would really love to see some Super Mario Odyssey DLC. Will it happen? Probably not. Once again, this is probably there is a sequel in the works case, but I don't know, we'll see. Next up, last Mario one, I promise. Well, kind of, you'll see later. But next up, we have Super Mario Party. Once again, this is a game that a lot of people thought we'd get DLC for, but it never ended up happening. Super Mario Party was a really interesting and very frustrating from a consumer standpoint return to form for the Mario Party series. Obviously, it was very interesting because it was a return to form. It seemed like Nintendo was going full-fledged, all the cards on the table for like this weird car thing, which wasn't as bad as I think people give it crap for, but the original Mario Party stuff was definitely a lot better. And then they pulled a complete 180 and called Super Mario Party like a complete reimagining, remake, everything. So that was amazing. Nintendo was finally listening to the fans and giving us what we wanted in this Mario Party reboot, basically. But then there were only 4 maps, and it seemed like everything was not as fleshed out as it could have been, which is so frustrating because the stuff that was there was great, there just wasn't enough content. So overall, it was very frustrating as a consumer, as I said, but I really, really, really thought that DLC would make this game so much better, because there are only 4 maps. If you didn't know that, there are only 4. Like, the 4 maps are good, but it just gets so stale. That is pretty much the main reason I stopped playing that game whenever I have like friends over. It's because I'd rather play something like Mario Kart where there's 48 different tracks than Mario Party where there's 4. So if we could get some new game boards, that would be incredible and really breathe some life back into that game for me. It would definitely make me want to play it more, but for now, I'm just not going to touch that game because there's nothing really there for me to touch. Next up is not technically a Mario game, although I guess it does take place in the Mario universe. Maybe, I'm not sure how any of that timeline stuff works. I don't even think there is a timeline. Regardless, I'm talking about Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. This game really, really, really would benefit from DLC in my eyes. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze was probably one of the worst offenders in terms of ports to the Switch, at least coming from Nintendo. We've seen all sorts of crap from third parties, but from Nintendo, this game was pretty bad. Not the actual game itself, let me clarify right there. Tropical Freeze is one of my favorite games of all time. However, it's just, like, the game was $50 on the Wii U. And then even after that, like, they discounted it to $20 because it was a Nintendo Selects title. Then they brought it to the Switch and it was $60? That's just kind of crazy. And all the content they added was the funky mode, which is literally just an easy mode. No new levels, no new anything. So it's such an amazing game, and I really hate that the Switch version has this sort of this mark on it, this stain on its reputation, that it is like a kind of obviously cash grabby port. However, the game overall is really phenomenal, and if it could just get like some extra content that would make it obvious that this is really the definitive edition and it's worth the extra what would be now extra $40 compared to buying it on the Wii U, then in my opinion that would just make this already amazing platformer a really, really, really good idea, or really good game, and the DLC itself would be a really good idea. That's just my opinion, though. I know a lot of people already really do enjoy this game. I'm just saying that even though it's one of my favorite platformers of all time, the fact that it was $10 more, like 6 years after it came out on a different platform, just kind of rubs me the wrong way. So I would have loved some DLC for this game to just spruce it up a bit, I guess. Okay, last but not least, this is maybe cheating, I don't know, this is the 5th game. I guess I'm kind of taking some creative liberties because this isn't a Nintendo game, but it is, well, it's not even really a Switch exclusive, although this specific edition is. I'm talking about Rayman Legends, the Definitive Edition. This game is one of my favorite games of all time. I just said Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze is one of the best platformers of all time. In my opinion, in recent platformers, it is rivaled only by this game, and that is a damn shame because while Tropical Freeze gets a ton of recognition, I feel like Rayman Legends just doesn't get the same sort of respect. Maybe it's because the art style is more 2D-ish, so it looks a bit cheaper, whereas Tropical Freeze has these massive, obviously Tropical Freeze is still 2D, but there are these sections that look 3D and it has dynamic camera movement, and Rayman Legends is all hand-painted 2D stuff, so it looks a bit more indie-esque in that sense. But regardless, not even just counting about the graphics, which still do look really good, the music, phenomenal, just like Tropical Freeze. The gameplay is so fun, and there's a ridiculous amount of content here in the Definitive Edition of Rayman Legends. There is more content in Rayman Legends Definitive Edition than the port of Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. There is a ton of replay value in Tropical Freeze, but in my opinion, there's even more in Rayman Legends. So when this game was brought to Switch, I got it. Even though I 100%ed it on my Wii U, I got it, and I've 100%ed it again on my Switch. It is just such a good game that I hold so close to my heart, and I love playing multiplayer with my sister with this game. It is just really, really fun. I can't rave about it enough. However, there has been pretty much no Rayman news in a long time, really. I've been waiting for some sort of Rayman something or other, but I mean, Rayman Legends Definitive Edition came out in 2017. Rayman Legends itself came out in 2013. Damn, 2013. That's insane. But seriously, 2013. That's ridiculous. That's what, 7 years ago now. We're coming up on that game's 7th anniversary, and we still don't have another Rayman game. That's kind of ridiculous. So if Ubisoft's not going to give us another Rayman 2D platformer, at least supplement the newest version, Rayman Legends Definitive Edition, on the Switch with some new content. It got this Kung Fu soccer mode thing, which does show that the developers did group together. That original team did come back to develop at least a small mini game for that game. And while obviously if they had made DLC for the Definitive Edition, it would be out by now. I would love this game to get DLC because it is such a good platformer. It is such a good game in general, and it's just any way that it can get more light shined upon it, I would be very, very appreciative of Ubisoft, Nintendo, whoever it took to get that game more fans. I would really, really like it. So with that out of the way, I'm just going to wrap things up by saying these are the games that I think would benefit the most from DLC, but I do not think we'll get DLC, whether it's because a sequel is in the works or the games have just been out for too long and DLC wouldn't make sense at this point. I'm talking about Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Mario Odyssey, Super Mario Party, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, and Rayman Legends the Definitive Edition, all for the Nintendo Switch. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Once again, sorry if I've sounded bored or something. My voice is just dead. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Thomas from the Switched Up, signing off. Peace.